3.3 major project 6 moving forward. This is my reflective video. I would probably say quite a lot of work has been covered, but I would say that was based on decision making, interrogation boards, planning, and making most of the sketchbook. And I would also as well say it's been good for me to make these decisions. I think it's about time now that kind of a lot of things have been pushed aside, and it does explain this in the course materials. Pop it on a shelf or pop it away wherever and come back to it later. And I think I did this early on in Project 6 because I have got this vision of where I want to be and what I want to do. Design wise, colour palette, and also the mixed media. So yeah, I think I've made the right choices, and I think this process has been really good. I've done a video of my sketchbook. I don't know whether it's a little bit long-winded, I don't know, but I think again it's just my way of demonstrating my work and wanting it to be kind of more in-depth, because I want to fit the criteria of the assessment criteria so that I can be seen to be making these developments, pushing ideas forward, not frightened to experiment. I still think there will be some forms of experiment within the final stages, because I do think things just swap and change all the time. Something might not go to plan, something might not work. Sometimes this is dictated by my yarn. Even though I haven't gone down the route of the fancy yarns, I have discovered that some of them are impossible with the knitting machine. I think my yarns have become more practical. They've definitely become durable for the idea of performance. And I've also been able to kind of narrow down the type of mixed media that I want to use that is going to resonate the idea of armour. This will also be introduced with the idea of shape. I'm going to be using the body as a platform. I have got the idea of a waistcoat type thing that's kind of a little bit more contemporary. Same idea as what I've got from Project 1 and 2, with the two final pieces that I've done there. I like the idea of the half a waistcoat with a big shoulder and a sleeve. I don't consider that it is repeating myself with the four final pieces. I think these four final pieces come together, but I think what actually makes the final pieces in my head and down on paper are the ideas of the texture, the knitting technique, the mixed media that I've got planned to be installed into the knit. I'd also kind of was quite pleased at the feedback that I'm getting on the textile Padlet. I think I did explain on the Padlet that any media that I do use is actually knitted in within the pattern that I am designing, rather than it being hand-stitched embellishment. So I think that is a key thing to clarify to other peers in the group or to the tutor, because I think it kind of falls into the danger zone that you might knit something, you might use a knitting technique, but then I think it would possibly be also easy to just hand stitch some mixed media into it, whereas this is actually fixed into the knit and becomes part of the design. One thing that I did bring back from early on is the knitting of a circle in quarters. It's working quite well actually. Doing some plain grey knitted circles. These might be of some use, they might not, but I feel as though I have achieved something new with learning. I've actually taught that myself. My friend that has been giving me the tutorials with the knitting machine, I just went off and researched it and found the technique worked on my particular knitting machine, so that's been good. I've actually clarified what my colour palette is with the grey, school jumper grey, and the red for dyslexia. So I'm really pleased with that. This enables me to use different shades of grey. They are all kind of resonating with the school jumper, but there's various tones and various shades. And I can also start to play around with various shades of red, though that is harder to get different tones of red in yarn. The mixed media aspect, I've started to reduce that right down. I've got the idea of using split rings. I've gone back to the foam, and I've been fortunate to find some red coated flexible foam that's used in the world of plumbing. So I've been able to cut that down and insert that into some of my knitting. I've gone back to cable ties. I think that's going to be important to finish off edges. That makes the knit, or will make the knit, a little bit more three-dimensional, but it is also a good way of attaching without sewing in, because I can attach into the finished off edges. That will be quite interesting to make that translation when I'm doing the torso pieces or the pieces for the sleeve. I have started to play with the ideas of drawing this, but I think it's going to be interesting to see it in real life. I think the one thing that it is a shame, I think, when we're doing our Google Slides and so forth, I think it'd be great for our tutors to be able to pick up our samples and touch and play with them. But unfortunately, it is what it is. So the use of video has now become a major role within my work. The photographs have, and also I think the sketchbook has become a major role in my design, and I have also taken on board the advice from my tutor to sometimes step out of that zone of the sketchbook and go large scale. Hence those were some of the pieces from project 4 and 5 worked particularly well. And I think that's it really on the reflection of project 6. I have already started on 2 pieces for project 7. I am really not going to start doing any more research. I've got enough research to keep me going. So I think now for project 7 everything is going to be more visual. I have got to crack on with the making, because I'm using the back braces and the harnesses to attach my knitting to, because the idea for performance is going to filter through still. So I need something quite durable, and something quite durable to attach the knitted pieces so that they can be worn. I think it's going to be important for project 7 to show the work visually and also make videos to give an insight for these final pieces. Which I already explained in my sketchbook video, we've got a bit of a collaboration going on with a graphic designer. I've asked him to compile a poster. I've come to the end of the road with emailing studio space or venues, or in particularly the Carpet Museum. Going to be quite honest, it has been an utter waste of time. I don't know whether it's just pure ignorance, but people don't seem to be able to give you a yes or a no or answer an email. So taking on board all of that experience, I don't know whether it's because it's a particularly difficult time of year, whether other students are asking for this space or other artists and so forth. I have no idea, because they're not getting back to me. So what I have decided that I'm going to do is, we've had some refurbishment work done downstairs in the garage, and I'm going to turn some part of my garage space into my own studio. I think that for me is going to work. I'm still going to follow the same principles of organising. Obviously, I don't have to be responsible for payment. Some of these studio spaces are £500 plus for 2 weeks, which I think is extortionate. I'm still going to produce the poster. Going to still produce my practitioner's practice explaining what the exhibition's all about, and I'm still going to have little pieces of information for any pieces of the exhibition final pieces that I will display. But the one good thing that I thought that would come out of this for me in particular, it will allow me to play by my rules, and I will also be able to demonstrate the elements of my work by swapping and changing the studio space round, because I think now the work is more mature with its colour palette, with its mixed media, but I could also put on another exhibition if I wanted to, with the more playful pieces. And I think also what is going to be quite fun is that it's not going to kind of put any pressure on me to do this exhibition. The organising of it is a big thing. I'd already been down that route with 3.2, where I had 5 days at the Carpet Museum, I hence to add. So there is a lot involved, and I think what slows that system down is, ideally, and this would be a piece of advice to any of students coming to the end of their studies, you really need to have tried to book this 12 months in advance, because that is kind of the way that it is going forward. But I think what my own studio space is going to allow me to do is to make the most of my online degree show. I'll have videos, I'll have photographs. I think it's going to be relaxed, but I think the most important key thing for me is I suppose really I'm dedicating, or I wanted to dedicate my my degree with my parents in mind. It would be quite nice for them to come for a private viewing, for them to be able to see what I've been doing over the past 9 years of study, because in all honesty I think some people don't quite get it. They don't get the pressure, they don't get the passion, because it starts to become very personal when you are studying on this level. So I think that will be quite nice to them. I think a bit of a treat, and also for family and friends. So I'm quite happy that I've made a lot of major decisions, and this is now for me, for Project 7, to really knuckle down, get these pieces made, and then that has given me the focus to say, yes, this is now going to be going into my own personal collection for the exhibition.